Hey everyone, welcome back to BrowncoatNerd. Today we finally got a follow-up video to that Romanian Tokarev I did a faux unboxing of from Classic Firearms not too long ago. So real quick, how I'm kind of doing a video on this. This is actually not one of my purchases. A family member of mine who I had been pushing for a while to get a firearm. A while back during the whole height of the whole COVID thing, gun stores were completely sold out of guns. Finally decided she not only wanted to get a gun, but she also wanted to get a very affordable and cheap gun. So we didn't have a huge variety there. Now I know the Tokarev is not by any means the first choice for someone's first firearm. This is someone that did used to shoot off and on, but she hadn't shot since probably the 1980s. And she did not want to spend over $200. So our choices were kind of like this or a High Point. And honestly, I was kind of like, well, I don't know if a High Point in this case would be the better choice, as much as I feel sick at my stomach saying that. I collect surplus. I'm not trying to push it on other people. So I kind of discussed with her the benefits between getting a surplus Tokarev at that price point or getting a brand new High Point. And some will argue, oh, the High Point's got a lifetime warranty. And I pointed out in my last video, I'm sure, trigger breaks into your house, your gun doesn't work. You can't be like, oh, can you please wait 3 to 6 months for me to get this warranty work done? I've got more faith in this surplus Tokarev functioning more reliably than the High Point, so warranty or not doesn't really matter. She also discussed that this might be something that she didn't know if this was just kind of the phase she was going through. So she did mention to me that also, mainly legalities are for reselling the firearm if she decided she didn't want to keep it once things kind of calmed down. So once again, if she were to buy a High Point or really any new gun, it's like buying a Toyota Camry. As soon as you drive it off the lot, it's going to depreciate in value. Whereas getting surplus like this, it's like buying that classic Bel Air or something. It's like, yeah, it's older, but the value is going up, So I told her, the High Point route, if she did want to resell it, she's going to get very little money back, almost to the point of not even worth selling it, really. Whereas on this, she's going to more than likely at least get back what she paid for it, if not a little more. And it was a little over 200, I forget the exact amount. So this was a little bit over the budget she's trying to spend it on, but I also kind of told her, like that budget, it's not the best price point, for a handgun, new or not. So she decided to go this route. I did a review on it. It was kind of the basic unboxing of it. I hadn't really cleaned it up. I think I just wiped the oil off of it. So since then, I've cleaned it a couple times. We did go out and shoot, so I kind of wanted to give you guys a follow-up on how it shot and just kind of the overall experience with this particular Romanian Tokarev from Classic Firearms. Now, this did not clean up as nice as I was hoping it would. It definitely looks to me to be like a refurbished Tokarev. It looks a little better than in my first video. But yeah, I was a little bummed out. I mean, it's not horrible. I think there are some signs of some older pitting on here. Let me crank up our lights here a smidge. But at the same time, it's not horrible. Now, the one thing I will say I would not agree with, but I kind of see where they might give it this grading. Classic had these listed as very good to excellent condition. Now, I do not know if they graded them in warehouse or if they came to them pre-graded. This did not come with one of those little white tabs, those little white ribbons, that has the serial number and the grading on it that they usually come with. This just came in a box. There's no listing of any kind of grading on it or anything. So, very good to excellent. I mean, looking at this from a distance, especially once this is caked in oil, no, there's no wear. I mean, it looks to be refurnished and then put into storage. So there really is no wear on this. It's just once you kind of wipe the oil off, then you can see it's not really the best refurbished job done to it. There's a little bit of bluing missing up here. Eventually I'll hit this with like some cold bluing for her or something, just kind of fill it in. Not that I'm, too concerned about that. So the grading I don't think is accurate, but in this case, these were completely slathered in oil. When I first got this, it looked brand new. Not until I kind of wiped it off could I see that this, how that finish doesn't really match all the way through. It looks like it was touched up with spray paint, or something, whatever they're using for parkerization. And on the back strip, you can really tell how flat and dull that is. These are normally blued. That's not, is that oil? But, so I don't agree with the grading, but at the same time, I'm not, this time willing to shake my finger at Classic for giving these improper gradings. I just don't know where they got that grading from. If that's what the importer of these ones were M&M or M+M. So I don't know if they came up with that grading or if Classic did. So I just kind of want to point that out, but at the same time, like I kind of get where they're coming from with this. The color fill was not on there. You can see my original video. I did not do any of that. So the person that purchased this, she's getting up there in age, doesn't have the best eyesight. So I went ahead and touched up this front sight post with some like neon orange fingernail polish. And she seemed to really like that because I knew that these black sights, and I knew we'd be shooting at like a black silhouette target, her first time out. But she said she really liked that, and that seemed to really help. Of course, she never shot this without it painted. And then also, I pointed out in the other video, this has a little indent behind the imported safety that I hate so much. And it was not painted. My Polish Tokarev, it had the same kind of safety, but they actually went through the trouble of painting it red. This one was not red. So I went ahead, the only red paint I had, sorry, it's weird. I was filming this video and I just got a text message from, my family member that purchased this gun completely off topic. I was like, wow, that's kind of random. So the red fingernail polish I had, it's kind of dark. And so I was concerned that she wouldn't be able to see that very well, to know that this safety indeed was off. So I discussed that with her. I'm like, I can hit it with red paint that's not the brightest, or I can hit it with some kind of neon orange paint so that it's a little bit more obvious. And I was like, as long as orange is the same as red is dead, and she was fine with that. She liked the idea of it just simply being brighter. And I kind of didn't quite clean it up completely. A little bit of over paint there still. And then while I was at it, I said, what the heck? Might as well color fill it. Yeah, I know. I just realized I covered the serial number on the box, but yet here it is. So I'm not too concerned about that. She has the paperwork for it. If someone were to try to report this stolen, they don't have any bill of sale. She does. 1953 model, as I mentioned in the first video, but I went ahead and figured I'd fill that in. And there's also some kind of inspection or proof mark there. A lot of these stampings just were not very good stamping. So you see like how the 5.3 there's, I took my time on the color fill and did several layers. It was a bad stamping. Also, it begins with JB. Up there, it looks like JR. They didn't even completely stamp that B, but whatever. So that's why the color fill's on there. So yeah, getting off topic as usual. So the grading is a little off, but I can kind of see where they'd come from with that. I also mentioned in the first video, I didn't really clean it up that well. I just looked down the barrel as is, and I did notice 2 dark spots, which had me a little concerned. I will say, once I finally got around to cleaning this, soaked the bore for a little while, ran a brush through it, it cleaned up really nice. As a matter of fact, this barrel, it looks like brand spanking new, and the serial numbers do all march from the frame to the slide to the barrel. But as you can see, it did get refurbished. So for whatever reason it got refurbished, it wasn't necessarily because it was used, a whole lot. Because the rifling on the barrel is amazing. Like, honestly, I would never guess that barrel was made in 53. you know, it looks brand spanking new. So that made me very happy. A little jealous that it's not mine, but it made me very happy. When I also did this first video, I just moved into our new location, so I was missing my trigger pull gauge. I have since found it, so I can now tell you that the trigger pull comes in just under 4 pounds at 3 pounds and 15 ounces. That was my average over 5 trigger pulls. Like I said, this is a really nice feeling trigger. It's not very heavy. It's very crisp. That's another thing I like about this. This trigger is very nice. Also, the slide is very, very smooth. So even though this gun got kind of a crappy refinishing or re-arsenaling job on it, it's actually a nice gun. Underneath, it's just ugly and has that horrible import safety. Another thing to point out about this safety, I did not have the issue on my Polish Tokarev that had the exact same style of import safety. When I was trying to disassemble this, I was having the hardest freaking time getting this little clip to pop back. And what I discovered was this import safety kind of shifts from side to side. It doesn't look like it's very much there, but this was actually pushing down on that. I was messing around with this, and I was like, well, I wonder if that's pushing in. I just pushed. I couldn't even feel it give it all. And then I went to pull that, and it came free. So if you're having issues with one of these and you have this style of safety, keep that in mind. I was very tempted to remove the safety altogether. This gun has a half-cock safety. It's already on that. And that will lock up your slide. Obviously, your trigger, it's single action only. Hammer's not all the way back. But she liked the idea of being able to physically see it. Once again, you know, new shooter, I had to make sure she knows it's single action only. Will say the magazine on this particular one sucks. That was the other bummer. When I finally took this apart, I don't think I had done this when I did the first video. No, because I haven't taken anything apart yet. This was disgusting. Like a bunch of mud. It didn't look like grease. It looked like mud. Came out of there. So I took my time cleaning this, cleaned it up quite a bit. It actually looks pretty good compared to what it was. But I can only get like 5 rounds in this. And I believe these hold, oh criminy, what, 6 or 7 rounds? So I was not able to load this magazine to full capacity. And I was kind of worried too that the spring was just going to be crap because of that. But we had no issues with it. So that's one thing I'm going to look into. I actually used to have some extra Taiwanese reproduction mags that a buddy of mine gave to me. He had a horrible time with them working in his Tokarev, and they worked perfectly fine in my Polish Tokarev. Unfortunately, when I sold my Polish Tokarev, I gave all of those away along with the gun. So I'm going to have to find those. And of course, also, if you have a Yugoslavian M57 Tokarev, those mags will work as well. It's just they stick out a little bit. And I even brought this up to her, and I brought one of those mags up to the range. She really did not like the way it felt, though. She felt like it was going to pinch her down here because it kind of, I mean, it basically looks like that. Maybe a little more so. But she just didn't like how that felt down there. And, you know, this is just, you know, home defense. So she'll be fine being a few rounds short until I muster up a spare mag somewhere. The ammo that we shot, I had this box of PPU 762 lying around. It was about half full, and so I just filled up the rest with some of this surplus Yugoslavian ammo I have. Now this stuff is really good. I really like this ammo. Still have a fair amount of it left. Getting it right now at a decent price is kind of hard. The only downside is, one, it is corrosive. So know that when you're shooting this surplus ammo here, this stuff is corrosive, which is perfectly fine as long as you clean your gun shortly after shooting it. You know, you don't have to race home and clean it, but you're going to want to shoot, you know, clean it out that night. Or at the very least, just clean out the barrel, you know, and the breech face. Get the corrosive salts and crap out of there. And then the other downside that I really hate about this is that sealer they put there. It's like a Garam confetti party inside your Tokarev when you go to clean this gun. That stuff is just freaking everywhere. So that's going to give you a little bit of extra cleaning. But if that's all you can find, it's good ammo. There's nothing wrong with it. Just, you don't want to let it sit around for a couple days before you get around to cleaning it. And then the last thing, just in case you guys are curious, how did it go with her handling this gun? Like I said, she's older. I was concerned about her being recoil sensitive. I wanted to get like a little Beretta Cheetah in 32. Yes, I know, once again, 32, you know, some will argue that's not good enough for home defense. She's recoil sensitive. She handled this just fine. Actually, her very first round was dead on the bullseye. I was like, all right, stop, we're done. We're wrapping it up. You're going to be shooting 100%. Obviously, we stayed. But I was really surprised by that. And she did really good on her accuracy, too. I did notice as the day went on, you know, we rented the booth for an hour, and we were there for the full hour. We brought another, and she did actually shoot my Beretta 32. And she enjoyed that as well, so I know that would have been a good pick for her. And I brought up my Set Me LC, and I tried to get her to shoot it, but she just wouldn't. It's such a wonderful and soft recoiling gun. But anyways, she did pretty good on this as the day went on. I did notice that it was starting to kind of flip. You know, she's getting a little more, you know, rise out of it than she was before, and therefore her accuracy kind of got worse as the day went on. So I think her wrist and hand was just kind of starting to get tired from not being used to doing that. But she seemed to enjoy herself. I was kind of worried this was going to turn into one of those things of, okay, now I know how to use it if I should absolutely have to, but I really don't want to come back here and do any of this. She's not necessarily anti-gun. It's just she doesn't care for them, you know. And she is a little, I think, apprehensive. I don't think she likes the idea of her being a gun over, but it's what she is, and she feels much better being one now. She's told me that having this in the house has been a big kind of security blanket that just makes her feel more at ease and more calm. But yeah, she did pretty good with this. I was concerned that she's just going to be kind of, you know, okay, I shot it, I know how to use it, I'm done with it now. But as we were leaving, you know, I was trying not to be pushy. You know, I was kind of like, so do you think, you know, if, you know, next time I come out to the range, you know, be it in, you know, a couple of weeks or next month, would you be willing to come out and shoot your gun again? And she was like, oh, yes, absolutely. I was kind of like, whoa, cool. All right. She was kind of like all about it. And I think she kind of enjoyed shooting it. She saw that it was in a, you know, safe area. You know, people weren't just, you know, going in there willy-nilly, you know, shooting from the hip. I think that's a lot of time what people envision that haven't, you know, shot guns at ranges a lot. She saw it was a controlled environment. And I think she kind of liked it. So she said she definitely did want to come out and shoot her gun some more. I think she started to get a little frustrated with herself as the day went on, and her accuracy was starting to open up a little bit there. Honestly, I think that's just, you know, her being a new shooter. And I could tell that I think she's kind of loosening her grip a little bit to eat up that recoil kind of unknowingly. So she will be definitely coming back out. Yeah, so overall happy with the purchase, or happy with me hooking her up with this purchase. At first I was kind of like, oh, it's not the best condition, and obviously it's not your best choice, but at that price point and at the time, all the gun stores were completely empty of any guns. I just want to remind you of that, guys, of that. Like, things are better now, at least around here. Like, they've got selection, they've got guns in the cabinets. They were literally cleaned out, and if they did have something, it was like, oh, that you know, that's just on hold for somebody or something, you know. So like, literally our choices at the time were High Points and this Tokarev. So I'm happy with it. She's definitely happy with it. Down the road, who knows, might upgrade her to something a little bit better. I don't like the fact that it's single action only. You know, in the heat of the moment, I could see her forgetting to do that. She did say that she wants to leave it with the safety on and the hammer forward with, or rather the half cock position, with the round in the chamber. So I'm just nervous, you know, she's got to remember to do that and that. And me personally, for a home defense gun, you should not have a manual safety. At the very least, if it is single action, only have that hammer back ready to go. Well, I guess in that case, depending on how soft the trigger is. For a home defense gun, it should be double action. There, let me put it that way. Okay, guys, don't you love how you think I'm ending the video and then it goes on for another 10 minutes? But this time I am. Just wanted to give you this follow-up on the Romanian Tokarev. You probably won't see her again. I might borrow this one more time to do kind of an overall Tokarev comparison between the Tokarevs that I do have, which are pretty much all Yugoslavian. And last thing is, to any eagle-eyed viewers that were looking at this map going, that's not Romania. No, it's not. I don't have a map of Romania. This is a map of the aforementioned former Kingdom of Yugoslavia, of Verzigrad. I have no clue where that is. All right. That's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this follow-up video. If you've watched a couple of these videos, think about, I don't know, maybe clicking that subscribe. All right, guys. Have a good one. Stay shiny.